All right, can you tell me a little bit about kind of your history and growing up and how you got involved in gang life?
Yeah, well, growing up, let's see, um, I had five other brothers and sisters. So basically, I was the third child, and my mom, she was, on and off drugs and living in the streets and all that stuff. So most of our life, we lived with our grandmother. Anyway, um, I was the one that clinged on to my mom and was always under her and running the streets behind her. So wherever she, whatever she did, I was there, and I basically did what I want, because she couldn't, she wasn't in the right mind to control me or have me do it. So about 9 years old, we was living, you know, in the west area, and I ran into this one of my sister's boyfriends. I hooked up with him. I was like 9 years old, and it basically started right there. He showed me how to sell drugs, and I started getting into, learning more and more about, the street life and gangs and all that stuff, and started liking it, And as I got older, um, I tried to play both sides of the field, go to school and be in the streets and go to school, and got kicked out of school. And after I got kicked out of school and there was no more football, I just decided to, hook up with the guys in the neighborhood. It seemed like I had more support. I had support there. I had, I mean, had always had somewhere to live, no matter what. So, and it was more like I got loved here, you know. Um, you know, it's kind of I really don't know why I started gang banging and getting in all that, but I just liked it. I seen all the glamour and all the stuff that people were getting, hustling, and I thought that was part of it. But um, I ended up, I don't know, getting introduced to drugs and everything. So um, basically, I started gang banging because you know I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be part of what everybody else was part of. You know, it was rough, but at the same time, it wasn't rough because I considered myself the hardest. you know, and other than that, that's been the roller coaster. Ever since. And as I got older, it got worse. And once I got 15 and got tried as an adult and sent to prison and started learning more things and just got deeper and deeper. And eventually, now I'm tired of it. So I don't know.
So you said that you were 9 when you first got involved. Is that, in your experience, is that pretty common for kids to get involved that young?
Maybe younger because nowadays we you know these teenagers having kids they teaching the little 5-year-old kids how to throw up gang signs and how to we don't like this neighborhood right here. So it's starting to be embedded in the youth as babies, like 1 years old, 2 years old. I've seen some of the girls in the neighborhood have a 5-year-old kid smoking marijuana, and I mean hit it for real, and inhale and exhale. So it's I can't say 9-year-old is coming. I say from birth. You know, with the way depending on where how you was raised and brought up. And yeah, these like nowadays. I mean, seriously, like these days now, these kids are having kids at like 12, 13 years old, 14 years old, and they're gangbangers. They don't have education. Another reason why people do the stuff they do. No education, missing out in school, no family guidance, no you don't got your father in the house, and then if your mother on drugs, now you don't have the mother. Then you got an older brother or sister trying to be that, and they can't, you know, and they can't control the situation. Somebody, a sibling. I'm gonna look at my sibling like, you just like me, we the same, you can't tell me what to do. You ain't my mom or my dad, so That's how these kids is just. I mean, that's what they do these days. It's like a part of their life. You know, they raised into it. It's just, I mean, from birth.
All right, man. So you were saying that like you think that a lot of these kids are starting it from birth.
Yeah,
So to me, that sounds like that's the culture, right? Can you
yeah.
talk a little bit about what that culture is in gang life?
Um, Let me see. The culture again. It's basically, being a part of a family, or being accepted into something, you know. And when you don't got education and you don't got the right path or nobody guiding, it's basically guidance. When you don't have guidance, you look for other things to guide you, you know. And some of us we choose the wrong things to guide us. And the culture, is trying to just, everybody want that name for some reason. I don't know why. Everybody want the reputation of being the baddest person or the person with the most money or, the person with the most stripes, So I think uh, the people that, the ones that's teaching their kids to be game bangers is doing that because that's all they know. So they don't know nothing else to teach them. They don't have education. They don't have nothing else, positive to teach them, basically. So they teach them everything they know, and it just goes on, and it just travels down and down. Now it's getting worse and worse and worse, you know. So
What would you say if you had to describe what is a gang member in your opinion, your experience? How would you describe a gang member?
I would describe a gang member as a heartless person, like somebody don't care about nothing. Because the stuff gangbangers do, you can't care about nothing because of the consequences that come behind of what you do on that. It's nothing good in it. Everything is all bad when you're in that. You're either going to get shot, you either going to sell drugs and go to jail, or you're going to try to commit crime to support the gang or to get your reputation right. You do whatever, just to show the big homie, I'm gonna go over here and shoot up, whatever. I'm gonna go over here and shoot this neighborhood. Or I'm gonna get the most stripes, you know, and that's basically what game banging is. Who's going to be on the top? What neighborhood is the strongest? And who making the most money and who got the best looking cars? All the pointless stuff, all the stuff that don't mean nothing.
Why do you think those are the things that gang members use to define themselves? Like, why isn't it who has the best grades in school or who's the best athlete? Why is it who has the most money, the most girls, or the most guns, or who's got the most weight in the neighborhood?
Yeah. Like I said, because basically that's all they know. A lot of us grow up, man, and we don't get taught patience or how to focus and pay attention to one thing at a time, or we I mean you have some people that try to point you in a positive way, but they so lazy with it. They tell you something positive, but they don't have nothing to back it up. They ain't showing it. So you gotta lead by example. If you ain't leading by example, if I'm just saying I'm a teenager still, and it's a guy, he come up, hey man, you don't need to be gang banging, but I go around the corner, turn back, I see him, he got his rag hanging and stuff. I'm like, oh, he just talking. You know what I mean? He trying to, So that's why I think that I don't know. So
In my experience, it seems like that happens a lot. There's a lot of like older gang members who will tell some of the youngsters,
yeah,
"Hey, stay away from that." There's some that bring guys up in it too, but there are some out there who say don't do it. But yet those guys are out there, and they're some of the worst gang members around.
yeah.
Why is that? Why are those guys telling some kids not to do it?
Honestly, they probably telling that kid not to do it because in some kind of way they have some kind of love for him, whether they probably be the boyfriend or the girlfriend of the brothers, you know what I'm saying, or trying to get into, trying to get with the sister. So he want to show the sister that I got your little brother back, but at the same time he don't really care about him. You know what I mean? It's always a motive. I mean, it's gonna always be some kind of like messed up motive behind why they telling you not to do this, but they doing it anyway the same. So
So in my experience, it seems like a lot of gang members who have been doing it for a little while, the more successful gang members, a lot of those guys are really good at dealing with people. They're good at reading people. They're good at kind of manipulating people and getting other guys to do stuff. Would you say that's true in your experience, or do you think it's
different. Mm, yeah, you have certain ones. You know, I gotta be honest. You know, some of these cats that have power and strength behind these are some clever cats and they thinkers. You know what I mean? They spend all their time thinking of ways to get somebody to do what they won't do. You know what I mean? That's basically what it is. You know, I'm gonna get these youngsters to do what I know I ain't gonna go do. You know what I mean? So that's why I think they do the stuff they do.
so? Would you say that it's common for some of the older gangsters to stay away from a lot of the serious crime, and that instead they're having some of the young kids do it for them?
Yeah, yeah, that's common because you know a lot of them probably done experienced prison probably 15 years of their life in there, 10, 20 years of their life in there, and they finally get the opportunity to get out, so they try to be sneaky and try to call themselves being on the down low and controlling stuff at the same time. There's a lot of that that's going on right now to this day. You would the people that you see out there doing all this stuff, believe me, it's somebody else that's directing that. They're not doing that on their own. It's somebody actually telling them they need to do that or they have to do that. In some of these neighborhoods, there's no organization, so it's every man for himself. But then you have some neighborhoods, like you know, out like the Dub. They're organized to me. You know, they youngsters don't do nothing without somebody telling them they got to do it. They can't even approach an OG without saluting them like they're in the military or something. And they got their little handshakes and you know all that stuff. But
Yeah. So if somebody were, say, in that neighborhood, if they were to approach an OG and they didn't pay them proper respect, what are the consequences? What happens?
uh, can I speak on the incident that I know? Like there was an incident a while back with one of the OGs from, and this dude is very known. He's one of their founders, and he he's the one that put the salute. When you see a big homie or OG, y'all salute him like this. You know, and if you don't, there's a consequence and discipline behind it. And this dude is dead right now because he did that to one of them youngsters. He didn't. The youngster didn't feel like I'm saluting you. I don't even salute my mama or my dad. And the OG slapped him. Pow. The little youngster killed him. You know, and then later on down the road, they found him dead somewhere in the ditch somewhere. And you probably heard of that incident. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. But I mean, that's what it is. That's what you know. If you don't follow some of these rules and regulations, they don't have you touched. They can have you touched. You know what I mean? A lot of these cats don't know where to go. They don't have nowhere else to go, so they just follow. They just follow suit. They just go with the flow of everything.
And when you say, I understand what you mean, but when you say they can have you touched, can you explain what that might mean?
Or have you touched mean basically they can have you either killed, beat up, jumped, X'd out the neighborhood as far as like you can't come over here. Some of them have a discipline where you can't wear your rag hanging out your pocket. You get caught with the neighborhood color on. There's, you know, that's part of the consequence. For 30 days, you can't wear the neighborhood colors because you violated this rule. You know, so that's what being touched means. You know, it's a discipline basically.
And some of those things you talk about, like they can have you beat down or they can have you killed or whatever, are those things pretty common, or is that like something that happens once every 10 years? Or is that stuff actually happening on a regular basis?
Depending on where you at, I gotta, you know, honestly, you know, I really gotta say, out here, there's no real structure out here with the gangs. If you're a GD or a Vice Lord, those dudes, they real organized, or some of these cats try to copycat the mafia, and try to implement rules like that, and some of that stuff don't work for them. It just backfire on them. Because, and then and I gotta be honest, the cultures are different. Whether if you're a Mexican gang member or a black gang member, I mean, things are different. You know, when you got a black gang member, I mean, it's real. Black people, as far as gang members, we don't want nobody telling us nothing. I'm gang bang. I got love for you. You from my hood. I got your back. But you can't tell me what I gotta do. My mom can't even tell me what I gotta do. So why I'ma let you tell me what I gotta do? Rather than you got a Hispanic gang member, they're more structured, more disciplined on different things, and they're basically scared of the consequences that come behind if they violate any kind of rules that they got in their neighborhood. So, and that go back to what I'm saying. Why the OGs have the younger cats doing the consequence. They scared of those consequences. That if they know if I go and actually do this again, what's going to happen to me? I'm gonna be in jail for the rest of my life. I'm gonna be dead.
What type of crimes would you say gang members are involved in?
Uh, a lot of drug selling, home invasions, robberies, and manufacturing. You know, actually, whatever they know how to do. That can get them some quick money. They willing to do it.
Is murder a real thing in gang life, or is that something that just happens
No,
ever?
no, it's real. That's real. Murder is real in gang life. If you gang banging and you got an enemy neighborhood, the rule is on site. I mean, we don't get along. It's a war going on between us. That means when I see you, ain't no talking. If you with your mama, your daughter, your grandparents, whatever, I'm getting at you. And if they get hit in the process over, that's they should not been with you. They know you was a gang member. What they hanging around you for? So yeah, it's coming. Murder is coming.
Can you describe just an average day in gang life? Like what kind of stuff a gang member would see, and what kind of stuff they would do, what kind of things might happen? Just random, typical day.
Mm, random typical day, probably you know, they always on alert for uh, the police department. Um, you got watchers, you got people that look out and run around the neighborhood. They got little young kids that run around the neighborhood, and if they see the police cars in the neighborhood, they go over there and tell them, you know some police over on this street and this street right here. And that's something that's common. Kicking it at the spot, getting high. Using I mean whatever drug they choose to use. So drugs is common. Uh, Weapons, that's common. Seeing guns, you know what I mean? Different type of, stuff that you wouldn't even believe that's on the streets. You know, uh, you know, drive-bys, uh, rapes, murders. You know, all that stuff. That's an average day in the game maker's life. Some things probably won't happen every day, but a lot of them do happen every day. They do. Sometimes it die down. And I gotta be honest that out here, they cleaned up a lot. They cleaned up good because sometimes you had those calls because they done swept up this neighborhood and they done got all these people off the streets, probably not for gang banging, but probably for selling drugs or robbery or conspiracies to different stuff. And it died down. And then you get that every 5, 6 years they done got they start kicking these dudes back out, and then everything start rumbling back up again. You know what I mean? And we see that firsthand all the time. I do. I see that every day. Like, oh, this person getting out. I said, oh man, you already know what's gonna go on there. So,
So, do you think, in your opinion, and based on things that you've seen, do you think that it helps neighborhoods when police go in and they're real proactive for a few years, and then, like you're saying, where they're making a lot of arrests and sending people to prison? Do you think that is good for preventing gang problems, or do you think that makes it worse?
no, I think it's good. But then again, I also think you kind of take. I got like if you take some of these guys off the streets, and then you got these youngsters growing up. Now they creating their own rules, and everything changing now. So you got these youngsters coming up, they changing everything. Are we this way? And they putting these little cliques. Are we from this hood? But this is our squad. So they doing that now. I only mess with this certain part, this many people in my neighborhood. I only mess with this group of people in my neighborhood. That's what's going on now. And then you get them OGs get out, hey, no, that ain't going on. Then they bump heads. Boom. Now you got in-hood wars and shootouts and with youngsters against the old cats, or something like that.
Yeah. So, is it fair to say that police going in and taking a lot of action and arresting a lot of people, sending them to prison, that's only a start to solving the problem?
Yeah, that's a start. You know what? It's when you get to prison, because I've been there, and like I explained that, from the age of 15, I only been out 3 years of my life because I spent most of it in prison. And I easily, if the prison system had some kind of real rehabilitation, there's no real rehabilitation there. I mean, I get put in prison. Yes, they got these programs, but if you go to these programs, you got other inmates running these programs. You don't even have real certified, qualified people that have education on this, teaching nobody nothing. So how can they rehabilitate themselves? They throw you a book and tell you read through the book. If you have no comprehension, how can you understand what this stuff is talking about? And then for a minute they switched up and had the CO3s teaching these class, and they really act like they don't have time for it. So what they do, they go in there, you sign in, they read the first page of it, all right, class over, boom. You ain't even do the whole hour in the class, you did 15 minutes. And I think it's not fair for the people that actually really want to rehabilitate themselves. Then some people just take it just so they can get the time cut off, or to get their phase 3. See, they throw stuff like that at you. Oh, we do this fundraiser for Costco, and if you don't get a ticket, you can participate in it. So that's the only way to get somebody to do good, to give them something.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think there's anything that can be happening in the neighborhoods before guys are in prison?
Exactly. That's what's missing. There's no voice for people getting out of prison.
Where do you think that voice should come from?
The streets. I think it should come from these so-called, these supposed to be leaders, in the community. I gotta speak on what I know, like these Al Sharptons and these Jesse Jacksons and the NAACPs. I really don't care about that stuff because I feel they don't help us out. They don't really do nothing for the community. They pop up when something happens just to get media time so they can be known in the world. But after they die now, they don't care about these cats. They don't care about these people. That's from what I see. You know what I mean? They do all this other stuff, protests and all this stuff. That stuff is a front because when it don't go nowhere, they let it go. So I think the voice should come from here. I think it should be like you should have prison, like prison programs out here that actually will really set these. If I go to prison and all I've been doing all my life is selling drugs, and I go do 7 years in prison, then I get out to nothing. They give you a $50 gate fee, and that's it. You can get released homeless. So now I'm back in the streets. I didn't learn really. Now I don't have no education, so I can't, and I have no job training. And now in DOC, if you don't qualify for vocational classes, you can't be a part of that if you're not on a minimum yard. And a lot of the hard people are on the higher yard. So you get these cats that's in there for probably DUI. They never committed a crime in their life with a DUI, and they don't even know nothing about game banging. You know, they give that stuff to them. But what about the people that actually really need that stuff? That really need help. I really think it's an illness. Like these cats, I mean, really need help. I wouldn't have changed my life if I wouldn't have realized that I'm doing a circle. I keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and it's not working for me. So I gotta channel that stuff into something else, and that's what I'm doing. I'm still finding myself, and I'm doing good at it. You know what I mean? Because I'm doing it on my own. Because that's what I want. You gotta. I think if you give these, I mean, inmates and people stuff to make them want to change, I think you'll see a difference too. You know what I mean? Some people ain't gonna never change. Some people just don't care. You know, they done lost everybody, or mom on drugs, dad on drugs. They never met their dad or never met their mom. You never know, and they don't really have nothing to live for. You know what I mean? And it's a family I want to use that, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's a group of boys that I know right now that they don't give a damn. They can go do 50 years in prison and get out. They go do the same thing in 50 years. They don't have nothing. You know, they don't care. So, and I'm pretty sure if you thinking like I'm, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So.
So, in your opinion, is there anything that can be done to get guys to leave gang life, or is it something they have to just come to on their own?
I'm gonna have to agree with some of this. Some of the, man, I gotta agree with this thing I seen on Google. I don't know if it's true. They got this. They supposed to be doing this uh, refugee camps for people that they deem menace to society that just repeat the same thing over and over and over. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think if you get rid of, I think if they lock the people up that they know that's not going to, you know, change their life, I think, and you get rid of those guys that's manipulating the situation with these youngsters and catching these young kids at a young age and giving them something better to see, a vision, you know what I mean? I think that would start turning stuff around too.
In your experience, when guys have decided to leave their gang or just that whole gang lifestyle, what things are you seeing that are causing guys to make that decision?
Uh, Losing somebody close to them, or just being tired, you know, and not wanting to be in that part of that life no more. You know, um, it's a lot of scenarios and situations that it can cause a person not to want to do that no more. You know, and there's a lot of reasons I mean, some people, like I said, they don't care. The ones that don't care, I think you should separate them from the ones that do have potential into changing. You know what I mean? Catch them young, man. Catch them while they going through, when they get to Durango, Juvenile, or JCC, or staff, or Adobe Mountain. Catch them right there and actually give them real guidance. You know what I mean? I know what would have made me if I was when I was a teenager. What would make I know what would have made me if I would have been able to actually get back into my football stuff, you know, and in my sports, and you know, if I was able to be given that, I know for a fact that I wouldn't have chose gang banging over that. That was my life. Like, I mean, when I lived in Louisiana, that's all I did. I trained out there, you know. I put my all into it at a young age, and then when I get in high school and get kicked out because of one person making a dumb error, steal a watch, they kick all of us out of school. They kicked the whole team. I mean the whole uh, they kicked all of us off the team because of that watch. They found a watch in the lockers, and whoever locker was near there. They couldn't really say this person did it, this person did it. They just kicked us all off the team. That's what made me. I was like, you know what, forget it, man. Ain't nothing else I want to do. That's what I wanted to do. So I think if you give them something they want to do that they can be proud of, they would choose this over that. Something positive over negative.
One more question for you.
Yeah.
What's your biggest regret?
My biggest regret was leaving my dad, being sent back out here, back to this state. You know, I lived in another state with him, and I was doing good, but he had discipline for me though. You know, he wasn't having it. Going hanging out at late nights and hanging out in the streets, kicking it with this person, these wrong crowds. No, he didn't have that. It was go come home from school, you do your homework, you do your chores. Then I think about letting you go outside. You know what I'm saying? And if my grades wasn't right, I couldn't play football. My grades wasn't right, I couldn't go to the park. If, you know, I had real discipline, but because then he decided to do what he does and leave me with you know, my stepmom, and she didn't have to take care of me, so she sent me back out here. And when I come back out here, what to the same thing, a mother that couldn't control me, they couldn't handle me. You know, she'd tell me something, and I'll blow it off, and she wouldn't even think twice of discipline in that situation. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think.
What have you lost as a result of being involved in gangs?
Uh, I lost my childhood. I lost my, you know, my important years, the 20s. I lost all that. You know, I'm 37 now, and I'm finally experiencing things that I should have experienced when I was 21 years old on a positive. You know, just sitting in prison, back and forth, just for the same thing. I mean, if you ever look at my record, you'll see it was the same thing. It never changed. It was the same thing over and over and over. And it didn't dawn on me until I got older that if that don't work for you, it's not going to work for you. You need to do something different, man, for real. So now I'm on a big positive thing. No more negativity in my life. I don't want that around me. And when people bring it around me, I eliminate them. You're not a part of my life anymore. You know. So like right to this day, not even I mean my sister and brothers and nobody, they don't know where I live. Nobody know where I live. My mom don't even know where my apartment is, you know, or where I stay at, you know. But I show up and I go see her all the time, every day, you know. But I keep negative out of my life. That's what I do, and try to look at things positive. And I gotta be honest. Sometimes, you know, I get in that mode where I'll be feeling like I want to slip up, but I catch myself and I think about that consequence, you know. And I think when people start recognizing consequences, then they'll stop doing the stuff they do. Because a lot of people do things because they don't give a damn about the consequence. But when you care about the consequence, you will change. Believe me, you will change. So going to prison and seeing people get stabbed up, riots, you know, you go into a whole nother 1960 all over again. It's 2016, but if I go to prison today, it'll be like 1960 because everything's segregated and everything is this and that. Your people this, your race this, your race that. And I don't like that because I like everybody. I don't want just to have a black friend. I want to have white friends. I want to have Mexican friends. I want to have Asian friends. I want to have all kinds of friends. I don't want to limit myself to that. So I don't want to be part of prison no more. That can't happen no more. There's nothing in there. It's a dead end. It's a dead end. If you're not willing to rehabilitate yourself, they ain't gonna do it for you. You got to be willing to do it yourself, or else it ain't gonna work for you. That's bottom line. That's basically it.